All right, ready to dive into the world of stunt performing? We're going deep with RoleCatcher today, getting you prepped for that big interview.
It's more than just those crazy stunts, you know? You gotta showcase the brains behind them, too.
So true. Let's start with the basics. What makes someone want to be a stunt performer in the first place? It's not exactly a desk job,
Definitely not. It's a wild mix of athleticism, artistry, and being okay with a little calculated risk.
like a real-life superhero, but with like a super detailed plan, right?
Exactly. They're the unsung heroes of all those action sequences, making sure things look amazing but are also done safely.
Okay, let's jump into the RoleCatcher interview guide then. First up, what inspired you to become a stunt performer? Sounds simple, but I bet there's more to it.
Way more. It's your chance to show real passion, not just a memorized speech about action movies. Think back to what first got you hooked.
Like if you were a kid obsessed with Jackie Chan, could you use that as an example?
For sure. Personal stories add depth, shows this isn't just a job, it's like a calling, you know?
Right, makes sense. What about RoleCatcher's AI? Can it help with this question too?
Definitely. It can scan that job description and suggest ways to tweak your answer to highlight the skills they want.
Whoa, AI is a career coach. That's cool. Okay, next question. What are the most critical skills you have as a stunt performer? Time to show off those skills, huh?
It is. And go beyond the obvious, like just being in shape. Think about what's essential for safe and awesome stunts. Adaptability, precision, knowing all the safety protocols, like inside and out.
Plus, all the specific stunt skills.
Yeah.
Martial arts, wire work, driving, high falls, the works. I saw it all listed in the career guide.
And that's where you tailor it to the job, right? If they want a driver, you play up your experience with different vehicles, techniques, maybe even some car mechanics knowledge.
So you're not just good at everything, you're like the perfect fit for this thing.
Exactly.
Can RoleCatcher's AI help pinpoint those specific skills thereafter?
Absolutely. Analyzes the description and tells you what to emphasize. Super helpful.
Okay, now for a tricky one. Have you ever been injured during a stunt? Honesty is important, but so is keeping it professional, right?
100%. You don't want to downplay safety, but it's not about negativity either. If you have had injuries, own up to it. But spin it, focus on what you learned from it.
Like how it made you even more careful about safety later on.
Exactly. It's about growth, showing how you take responsibility and use those experiences to be better.
Makes sense. You know, the career guide talked about different career stages for stunt performers, entry level, senior level, all that. Responsibilities must change a lot as you climb the ladder.
Oh yeah, totally. Entry level is all about soaking up knowledge, helping the senior guys, mastering the basics, like your stunt boot camp.
I like that, stunt boot camp.
Yeah,
So being safe, precise, following directions is super important then.
totally. But as you move up to intermediate, you start tackling harder stunts, working more with directors, even mentoring the newer folks. You're part of the creative process, not just following orders.
And then becoming senior level, that's about leading the whole shebang, making those tough safety calls, being a mentor.
You got it. They're the backbone, the ones guiding and inspiring everyone else. Often they have like a specific specialty too, fight choreography or whatever.
That's got to be rewarding reaching that point in your career. Okay, back to interview prep. How do you prepare for a stunt? What do they want to hear?
They want to see how your mind works. Walk them through your process, step by step. How do you analyze the script? Work with the team, figure out the risks, practice everything.
So, like, do you imagine the stunt first? Research similar ones. Do mental exercises to stay focused when things get crazy.
All good stuff. Don't forget the physical side too. Mention your training, whatever it is. Shows you're dedicated to being in top shape.
Oh yeah, the AI can help with this too, right? Suggest what training to mention based on the job.
It can. Super smart.
All right, question that lets you brag a little. What's your experience with different types of stunts? Time to prove you're not just a one-trick pony.
Exactly. Car chases, fights, wire work, falls, water stuff. If the job's focused on one of those, emphasize it. Even if you haven't done it all, talk about your ability to learn fast, be adaptable.
Like a time you picked up a new technique super quick for a project.
Perfect example. Shows you're not afraid of challenges.
This is so helpful. You know, we haven't really talked about the team aspect of this job. Working with other stunt folks, the whole film crew, it's got to be a big deal.
Huge. And that's where this next question comes in. How do you work with other performers and the production team?
Because, yeah, no matter how daring you are, it's a team effort in the end.
Right. This is your chance to talk about communication, collaboration, coordinating with other performers, taking directions, making sure everyone's on the same page.
So, like, A story about how you prevented an accident because you spoke up clearly during a complicated stunt.
Bingo. And it subtly shows leadership potential. You taking initiative, making suggestions for safety, even mentoring someone less experienced.
Showing you're not just a follower, you're a leader in the making. And speaking of initiative, the career guide stressed how important it is to keep learning in this field. Always new techniques popping up.
For sure. And that leads us perfectly to
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
how do you stay current with industry trends and technology? It's not just watching the new action movies, it's proving you're dedicated to your craft.
Showing you're not just keeping up, you're ahead of the game.
Exactly. Talk about specific training, workshops, even online stuff like what RoleCatcher offers.
Like saying, I'm not just physically fit, I'm intellectually fit too.
Love that. And here's a subtle way to tie it to your career goals. Mention how your learning aligns with your dream of becoming a coordinator or even a second unit director someday.
Whoa, wait, second unit director. What's that for those of us who aren't film set experts?
Basically, they're in charge of filming all the action and stunts. Works closely with the main director, but their focus is on those exciting scenes. So it's a natural step up for a stunt performer, shows ambition.
This is so fascinating. Okay, we've covered some tough questions, but what about the pros and cons from the career guide? They mentioned high adrenaline and safety being important, but also typecasting. What's that all about?
Yeah, typecasting is a real thing, especially early on. Means getting stuck in certain roles based on your looks, your experience, even your first few stunts. Tall and muscular. You're the tough guy, maybe not the acrobat.
I see. So how do you avoid that? Build a diverse career. Getting stuck in a type must limit you as you move up.
It does, and the guide has some great tips. Expanding your skills is huge. Even if you're the car guy, take martial arts, practice falls, learn underwater stuff.
So make yourself more versatile, prove you're not a one-trick pony to casting directors.
Exactly. And work it into your answers, even if you haven't landed those diverse roles yet, saying your cross-training shows you're ambitious and want to be well-rounded.
They also said to showcase your skills beyond your resume. What do they mean?
Your show reel is key, especially to break out of typecasting. It's like a highlight reel of your best work, all action-packed.
Show, don't tell, right? But with stunts, it's show and tell.
Exactly. It backs up what you say in the interview. They also suggested doing stunt showcases, competitions, stuff like that. Gets you noticed, helps you network.
Taking charge of your career, creating your own opportunities. Love it.
Yep. Speaking of, remember those career stages we talked about? Entry level to senior level. The guide had interesting details on what each one involves.
Yeah, I'm curious how the work changes. What's expected as you climb that ladder?
So entry level, it's about learning the ropes, right? Helping the experienced performers, proving you're reliable. Your apprenticeship.
So safety, precision, being a good listener, those are key.
Totally. Intermediate level, you start doing more complex stunts, working directly with directors, maybe even mentoring the newbies. You're not just doing, you're contributing ideas.
And then senior level is all about being the leader, the mentor, making those big safety calls for entire stunt sequences.
Exactly. Senior performers, they're the heart of the team, guiding and inspiring everyone. They often specialize in something specific too, like fight choreography or high falls.
It's amazing to think about reaching that level. Okay, but we haven't talked about money yet. Passion is great, but stunt work can be kind of unpredictable for income, right?
True, especially starting out. The guide said pay depends on experience, the project's budget, even the specific stunts. Big Hollywood movie with explosions. Pays more than a small film with a couple fight scenes.
Makes sense. And I bet specialized skills like underwater stuff or crazy acrobatics, those probably pay more too.
Yep, supply and demand. Got a rare skill everyone wants, you can negotiate. But be realistic early on, money-wise.
So having a budget plan, maybe a side gig until you're more established, that's smart.
Definitely. Plus, factor in costs like training, gear, insurance, travel. It adds up.
It's an investment in your dream career, just like anything else.
Speaking of investment, one of the best things you can invest in is tools that help you in this industry. That's where RoleCatcher comes in.
We've touched on it, but I'd love to hear more about the AI and interview prep. How does it actually help?
It's like having a secret weapon. Remember how we talked about tailoring your answers to each job? RoleCatcher's AI takes that to a whole other level.
So it's not just about good answers, it's about the perfect answer for that specific employer.
Exactly. It analyzes the job description, picks out the key skills and experience, then helps you build answers that hit those points.
It's like a super smart career coach who knows exactly what to say.
And it goes beyond just what you say. It can even analyze your wording, Suggest subtle changes to make it even better.
Give me an example.
Remember the question about what inspired you. Let's say they want someone who's good at problem solving. RoleCatcher might tell you to work that into your story.
So if you are inspired by, like, a crazy zero-gravity scene, you'd talk about the ingenuity and problem-solving behind it, not just how cool it looked.
Exactly. You're speaking their language, showing you get what they value.
This is amazing. AI interview prep on steroids.
And it can make a huge difference. Imagine two people, both with the same skills. One gives good but generic answers. The other, using RoleCatcher, gives answers laser-focused on that job. Who gets hired?
The one who did their homework and used every tool to prepare. Makes sense.
And it's not just getting the job, it's about doing well once you're on set. Okay, we've covered a ton today. Interview questions, career stuff, even some financial tips. But I want to leave you with one last thing to think about.
I'm all ears.
Remember typecasting. What if, instead of just breaking free from those molds, you could actually use them to your advantage?
Now that's interesting. Tell me more.
Think about it. You get cast as the tough guy a lot because of how you look. Instead of fighting it, what if you embrace it, but add a twist?
Okay, I like where this is going.
What if you make that tough guy deeper? A little vulnerable, maybe funny, or secretly super smart? You're still the archetype, but you're making it more interesting?
So you're playing the role, but also going beyond it. Using the typecast as a starting point to create something really unique.
Yes. Turning those limitations into creative fuel, or let's say you're a woman in a male-dominated field. What can you bring to the table? What makes you different and exciting as a stunt performer?
Flipping the script, turning what some see as weaknesses into strengths. I love it.
And this whole idea, being aware of typecasting and how to go beyond it, you can even bring that into your interview answers.
Ah, I see. It shows you're not just trying to get the job, you're already thinking about how you'll contribute to the art form.
And that's what separates the good stunt performers from the truly great ones.
So much great advice. Before we move on, I have a question that's been bugging me.
I'm all ears. What is it?
It's about those stages in the career guide. We talked about how responsibilities change as you move up from entry level to senior level.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Entry level is all about absorbing everything, like a sponge. You're assisting the senior guys, really nailing those fundamental skills. It's like your stunt boot camp.
Stunt boot camp, I love that. So being safe, precise, and following instructions is super important at this stage.
Absolutely. And then you move up to intermediate. You're taking on tougher stunts, collaborating more with directors, even mentoring the newer performers. You're not just executing anymore. You're part of the creative process now.
And then reaching senior level, that's where you become the leader, making those tough safety calls, being a mentor, guiding everyone.
Exactly. Senior level performers are the backbone of the stunt team. They're the ones guiding and inspiring everyone. They usually have a specialty too, like they're known for fight choreography or high falls or something.
That must be so rewarding, reaching that point in your career. Okay, back to the interview prep. What about the question, how do you prepare for a stunt? What are they looking for here?
They want to see your thought process. You got to walk them through it step by step. How do you analyze the script, work with the team, assess risks, rehearse everything? It's all about showing you're methodical and prepared.
So do you talk about visualizing the stunt, researching similar ones, or even using mental exercises to stay focused under pressure?
All good stuff. And don't forget about the physical preparation, too. You got to mention your training regimen, whether it's martial arts, gymnastics, or specialized stunt training. Shows your dedication to staying in top shape.
And RoleCatcher's AI can suggest specific training elements to mention, right?
Right.
Based on the job description.
Exactly. It's like having a personal trainer for your interview prep.
This is so cool. All right, let's move on to a question that lets you show off your range. What is your experience with different types of stunts? This is where you prove you're not a one-trick pony, right?
Absolutely. Think about all the different specialties we talked about earlier. Car chases, fight choreography, wire work, high falls, water stunts. If the job description emphasizes one of those, you gotta highlight that experience. But even if you haven't done it all, it's about showing you're adaptable and eager to learn.
So you could talk about how quickly you pick up new skills, or maybe a time you mastered a new stunt technique for a specific project.
Perfect. It shows you're not afraid to step outside your comfort zone and tackle new challenges.
This is all incredibly helpful. But we haven't really talked about the collaborative aspect of this job. Working with other stunt performers and the whole film crew, that's got to be a huge part of it.
It is, absolutely. And that brings us to another important question. How do you work with other stunt performers and the production team?
because even with all the crazy stunts, it's still a team effort at the end of the day.
You got it. This is your chance to shine a light on those communication and collaboration skills. Talk about your experience working with other performers, taking direction from the stunt coordinator, communicating clearly with everyone on set, from the director to the camera crew.
So maybe share a specific story where your clear communication actually prevented an accident during a complex stunt. That would really demonstrate those skills in action.
Spot on. And you can even subtly hint at your leadership potential here. Maybe talk about a time you took initiative, offered a suggestion that made a stunt safer, or even mentored a less experienced performer.
It shows you're not just following orders, you're a leader in the making. And speaking of taking initiative, the career guide emphasized the importance of continuous learning in this field, right? Because new techniques and technologies are constantly emerging.
Absolutely. And that leads us perfectly to another interview question that often throws people off.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What is it?
It's this. How do you stay up to date with industry trends and advancements in technology? Because it's not just about watching the latest action movies, it's about showing a real dedication to your craft.
It's about proving you're not just keeping up, you're striving to be ahead of the curve.
Exactly. Think about specific training courses you've taken, workshops you've attended, or even online resources like those offered by RoleCatcher. Show that you're always learning and growing.
It's like you're saying, I'm not just physically fit for this role, I'm intellectually fit too.
I love that analogy. And here's a sneaky way to tie it back to your career goals. You could mention how your commitment to learning aligns with your aspirations to maybe become a stunt coordinator or even a second unit director someday.
Wait, hold on. A second unit director. For those of us who haven't been on a film set, could you explain what that role is all about?
Sure. The second unit director is the one who's responsible for filming all the action sequences and stunts. They work closely with the main director, but their focus is on those exciting scenes. So for a stunt performer, it's a natural next step. Shows ambition.
I'm learning so much already.
Mhm.
Okay, we've covered some pretty intense questions, but I want to shift gears for a second and talk about something from the career guide that's been on my mind.
I'm all ears. What you thinking?
It's about the pros and cons section. We talked about the high adrenaline work and the importance of safety, but they also mentioned the potential for typecasting in this industry. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, typecasting is definitely something to be aware of, especially early in your career. It basically means getting pigeonholed into certain roles based on your physical appearance, background, or even just the first few stunts you happen to land. Like, if you're tall and muscular, you might get called in for the tough guy roles more often than, say, acrobatic stunts.
So how do you avoid becoming the go-to person for a certain type of stunt? How do you build a career with diverse roles? Because I imagine getting stuck in a typecast can really limit your options.
You're absolutely right, and the career guide offers some great strategies for breaking out of those molds. One of the most important is to constantly be expanding your skill set. So even if you start out as the car chase guy, maybe you start taking martial arts classes, training in high falls, or even learning underwater stunt techniques. Diversify your abilities.
So it's about proactively showing casting directors that you're more than just a one-trick pony.
Exactly. And this is something you can even work into your interview answers. Even if you haven't landed those diverse roles yet, mentioning that your gross training shows ambition and a commitment to becoming a well-rounded stunt performer.
The career guide also mentioned showcasing your capabilities beyond your resume. What do they mean by that?
A strong show reel is super important, especially if you're trying to break out of typecasting. It's basically a curated collection of your best stunt work that highlights your range and skills in a visual format. Think of it like a highlight reel of all your best action moments.
It's like the saying, show, don't tell. But for stunt performers, it's show and tell.
Exactly. Your show reel is your chance to back up everything you're saying in the interview with visual proof. They also suggested participating in stunt showcases or competitions. It's a great way to get noticed by industry professionals and network with other stunt performers.
It's about taking charge of your career, creating your own opportunities. I love that.
Exactly. Now, speaking of opportunities, let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the progression from entry level to senior level in a stunt performer's career. The guide had some interesting insights into what those different stages actually look like in practice.
Yes, I'm curious how the responsibilities and expectations evolve as you move up that ladder.
Well, at the entry level, it's all about learning the ropes, assisting the more seasoned performers, and proving that you're reliable. Think of it as your apprenticeship in the world of stunt work.
So safety, precision, and following instructions are super important at this stage.
Absolutely. Then as you gain experience and move into that intermediate level, you start taking on more challenging stunts, collaborating more directly with coordinators and directors, and you might even start mentoring some of the newer performers. You're not just executing the stunts anymore, you're contributing to the creative process.
And then finally, reaching that senior level position is all about leadership, mentorship, and making those crucial decisions that impact the safety and success of entire stunt sequences.
Exactly. Senior level performers, they're the backbone of the stunt team, guiding and inspiring everyone else. And they often have specific expertise, whether it's fight choreography, high falls, or underwater stunts. They've found their niche.
It sounds incredibly rewarding to reach that point in your career, not only performing at the top of your game, but also shaping the future of stunt work.
It is. And remember, RoleCatcher's Career Guide has some real-world examples of stunt performers at each stage, so you can get a better sense of what that journey might look like. Okay, so we've covered a lot about the stunt work itself and how a career in this field progresses, but there's another crucial aspect we need to address.
You're talking about the elephant in the room, right? The financial side of things.
You read my mind. Because passion doesn't always pay the bills, and stunt work, while incredibly rewarding, can be unpredictable when it comes to income, especially when you're first starting out.
Especially early on, while you're still building your reputation and your network.
Exactly. The guide mentioned that earnings can vary a lot depending on your level of experience, the scale of the project, and even the specific types of stunts required. So a big budget Hollywood film with tons of explosions and car chases is probably going to pay more than a low budget indie film with a couple fight scenes.
That makes sense. And I imagine a specialized skill like underwater stunts or aerial acrobatics would probably command a higher rate too.
You're right. It's all about supply and demand. If you have a skill that not many other people have and it's in high demand, you can negotiate a better rate. But the key is to be realistic, especially early in your career.
So having a good financial plan and maybe even a side hustle or a backup plan for those times when you're not working on a project, that's really important.
Absolutely. It's also smart to factor in all the costs associated with training, equipment, insurance, and travel because it can add up quickly.
It's all an investment in your career, just like any other profession.
And speaking of investments, one of the best investments you can make is in tools and resources that will help you navigate this industry. And that's where RoleCatcher comes in.
We've talked about RoleCatcher throughout this episode, but I'd love to hear a little more about how its AI can help with interview preparation specifically.
It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket. Remember how we talked about tailoring your answers to each specific job? Well, RoleCatcher's AI takes that to a whole new level.
So it's not just about having good answers, it's about having the right answers, the ones that will really resonate with that particular employer.
Exactly. RoleCatcher's AI analyzes the job description, figures out what skills and experience they're really looking for, and then it helps you craft answers that highlight those specific areas.
It's like having a personal career coach who knows exactly how to impress that hiring manager.
And it goes beyond just the content of your answers. RoleCatcher's AI can even analyze your wording and suggest subtle tweaks to make your answers even stronger.
Oh, interesting. Give me an example.
Remember that first question we talked about, what inspired you to become a stunt performer? Let's say the job description really emphasizes creative problem solving as a key skill. RoleCatcher's AI might suggest that you weave that element into your inspiration story.
So if your inspiration was a stunt team rigging a really complex zero-gravity scene, you would highlight not just how cool it was, but also the ingenuity and problem-solving skills that went into it.
Exactly. It's about speaking their language, showing them that you understand their values and that your experiences align with what they need.
This is seriously blowing my mind. It's like AI interview prep on steroids.
And it can make a huge difference. Imagine you have two candidates, both with great experience and skills. One gives solid but generic answers. The other, using RoleCatcher, gives answers that are laser-focused on that specific job. Who do you think is going to walk out with the offer?
The one who did their homework and used every available tool to prepare.
Exactly. And it's not just about getting the job, it's about setting yourself up for success once you're on set. Okay, so we've covered a lot in this deep dive, from interview questions and career insights to tips for breaking free from typecasting and even some financial considerations. But I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder as you embark on this exciting career path.
Okay, I'm all ears. Hit me with it.
Remember all that talk about typecasting? Well, it got me thinking. How can you, as an aspiring stunt performer, not only defy those molds, but actually use them to your advantage?
Ooh, now that's interesting. Tell me more.
Think about it. Let's say, because of your build or your background, you do get cast as the stereotypical tough guy a lot, especially early on. But what if, instead of fighting it, you actually lean into it, but with a twist?
I like where you're going with this.
What if you bring a surprising depth of character to that tough guy persona? Maybe a touch of vulnerability, a sense of humor, or even a hidden intellectual side. You're still fulfilling the archetype, but you're adding layers that make the character more compelling and memorable.
Ooh, I like that. So you're playing the archetype, but you're also transcending it. You're using the typecast as a foundation to build something unique and unexpected.
Exactly. It's about turning limitations into opportunities to showcase your range as a performer. And this applies to other types of typecasting, too. Let's say you're a woman working in a field that's been historically dominated by men. What unique perspectives and experiences can you bring to those action sequences? How can you redefine what it means to be a powerful and compelling stunt performer?
It's about flipping the script on those perceived disadvantages and using them as fuel to create something truly groundbreaking.
That's the heart of it. And this whole mindset, this awareness of typecasting and how you can transcend it, can even be something you talk about in your interviews.
You're right. It shows that you're not just thinking about getting the job, you're thinking about how you'll contribute to the art form in a meaningful way.
And that, my friend, is what sets apart a good stunt performer from a truly great one. It's about embracing challenges, pushing boundaries, and constantly striving to elevate your craft.
That's a great note to end on. Okay, so what does all of this mean for our listeners who are prepping for that big stunt performer interview?
It means you have an amazing opportunity in front of you. You have the talent, the passion, and now, thanks to RoleCatcher and this deep dive, you've got the knowledge and the confidence to really knock it out of the park.
Don't be afraid to take those risks, to push those boundaries, and always keep learning, evolving, and challenging yourself.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the one inspiring future generations of stunt performers, breaking those molds and redefining what's possible in the world of action and entertainment.
And that wraps up this episode of The Deep Dive. See you next time for another thrilling adventure into the world of incredible careers.
It really is amazing how much goes into building a career as a stunt performer. It's not just about the stunts themselves.
Right. It takes strategy and a real understanding of the industry to be successful. And speaking of strategy, we were talking about typecasting and how to break free from those molds. But you were about to say something about actually using typecasting to your advantage. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mind flip, but think about it this way. Let's say you keep getting cast as the tough guy because of how you look, right? What if, instead of trying to avoid that, you lean into it? But here's the key. You add a twist.
Okay, I'm listening.
What if you bring something unexpected to that tough guy persona? A little vulnerability, a sense of humor, maybe even a hidden intellectual side. You're still playing the archetype, but you're adding layers that make the character more interesting, more memorable.
Oh, I see what you mean. You're playing the role, but you're also kind of subverting it. You're using the typecast as a foundation to create something really unique.
Exactly. It's all about turning limitations into opportunities to show your range and creativity. And this idea applies to other types of typecasting as well. Like, let's say you're a woman in a field that's traditionally been dominated by men. What unique perspectives and experiences can you bring to those action sequences? How can you challenge those expectations and redefine what it means to be a powerful and compelling stunt performer?
It's about flipping the script, taking those things that some people might see as disadvantages and using them as fuel to create something truly groundbreaking.
That's it. And this whole way of thinking, this awareness of typecasting and how to go beyond it, you can even talk about this in your interviews.
Oh, you're right. It shows that you're not just focused on getting the job. You're already thinking about how you will contribute to the art form in a meaningful way.
And that's a big part of what separates a good stunt performer from a truly great one. That willingness to embrace challenges, push boundaries, and constantly strive to elevate your craft.
That's a fantastic point. We've covered so much ground today. Interview tips, career insights, and even some deep thoughts about the nature of typecasting. But as we wrap up, is there anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they start their stunt performing journeys?
I think the most important thing is to remember that this is a career that demands passion, dedication, and a constant desire to learn and grow. It's not always easy, but the rewards are incredible.
And speaking of rewards, We can't forget about the financial side of things. We talked about this earlier, but it's worth repeating that stunt work can be unpredictable income-wise, especially when you're first starting out.
Very true. It's smart to have a good financial plan, maybe even a side hustle or a backup plan for those times when you're between jobs. And be realistic about your earning potential as you build your career.
And don't forget about all those extra costs like training, equipment, insurance, and travel. Those can add up quickly.
But it's all an investment in your dream, right?
Well said. So, to sum it all up, what would you say to our listeners who are about to take that leap into the exciting world of stunt performing?
I'd say you have an incredible opportunity ahead of you. You have the talent, you have the passion, and now, thanks to RoleCatcher and this deep dive, you have the knowledge and the confidence to really make your mark. Don't be afraid to take risks, push your limits, and never stop learning.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the ones inspiring future generations of stunt performers, breaking those molds, and changing the game in the world of action and entertainment. That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time for another exciting exploration into the world of amazing careers.